Hey, and welcome to today's video. Me and my brother-in-law's pups wanted to say hello. They needed a little extra love, as always. I wanted to start off this video by sharing my homemade granola recipe. You'll need 3 cups of oats. Then you'll need your choice of nuts. I did half a cup of chopped pecans, a 1/4 cup of sliced almonds, and then I added half a cup of coconut shreds. Then we're gonna add a teaspoon of cinnamon and half a teaspoon of nutmeg, then 2 tablespoons of flax meal. You're gonna mix that all together so it's blended. Then we're gonna add half a cup of melted coconut oil, a 1/4 cup of maple syrup. Make sure you get every last drop. This is an important step. A teaspoon of vanilla, and then you're gonna mix this so that it's completely coated. Feel free, if it doesn't seem wet enough, to add a little more coconut oil. Then we're gonna add this mixture onto a lined baking sheet. We're gonna spread it out evenly, and I even like to press it in a little bit in certain areas so that as it bakes, it clusters together to make those yummy, crunchy clusters. Then we're gonna pop this in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 20 to 25 minutes, checking and stirring halfway. Okay, so I just took this out. Look at how toasty and beautiful that looks. Let's turn on the light. Yeah. Okay, while that's cooling off, I'm just going to enjoy my little green juice out here in the beautiful sunshine with the birds. Granola is finally ready to eat. Okay, so I really wanted to share some books that have really impacted me, or even just helped to shift my perspective, specifically this year. I have always been a big reader. I love books. I love that you can get so touched by another person's perspective and life experience just by reading one of these. And I think it's just so cool because I think in life we get brought so many different teachers, and it can be nature, it can be an experience, it can be another person, an animal, but it can also be a person through what they've done, what they are able to put into the world. And that's what is so beautiful about books, and why I think I've had so many deeply impactful moments with books. And it's so cool because just depending on where you are in life, and if you're in a space where you're really ready to learn something, books are amazing conduits of different lessons and really allowing your mind to open up in a different way. Because if we are only to see and experience life in our own perspective and never allow ourselves to open up to view something from another lens, another point of view, then we're gonna live a very narrow view of life. And I personally love being open-minded to everything, to learning from nature, to learning from different religious practices and spirituality. This year especially, my eyes have just been opened in a really beautiful new way. A more expansive, vast way of looking at life, and just being in tune with more than just the reality of what we're seeing here. So I thought I would just share some of these books with you, starting with the first one I read this year, which is The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success by Deepak Chopra. This is a teeny tiny, perfect book for anyone who gets intimidated by maybe like bigger reads like this. And this book was the catalyst for a lot of changes within my own life. And he's basically in this book really just talking about 7 spiritual laws. And by that, it's just, he's meaning spiritual laws of the universe, things that are set laws that we experience every day, whether we're aware of our participation or not, similar to manifestation. That's a spiritual law. It's something that's taking place. We're manifesting things in our life through our beliefs, through our words, through our thoughts every day, whether we are aware of it or not, and whether we choose to participate in it. It's a law of the universe. I was really impacted by chapter 4 and chapter 6, I would say have stood out the most to me, the law of detachment and the law of least effort. So I thought I would even just share little pieces of that. So the law of detachment, it really revealed to me how attached I was to things and people and relationships within my own life. And when you're attached to something, when you're attached to the result of something, you are also attached emotionally to those things. So you're just getting swung from here to there full of emotions because of that attachment, because it has such a hold on you. And so, okay, listen to this. I'm going to read a little piece. It says, "The search for security is an illusion. In ancient wisdom traditions, the solution to this whole dilemma lies in the wisdom of insecurity, or the wisdom of uncertainty. This means that the search for security and certainty is actually an attachment to the known. And what's the known? The known is our past. The known is nothing other than the prison of past conditioning. There's no evolution in that. Absolutely none at all. And when there is no evolution, there is stagnation, entropy, disorder, and decay. Uncertainty, on the other hand, is a fertile ground of pure creativity and freedom. Uncertainty means stepping into the unknown in every moment of our existence. The unknown is the field of all possibilities, ever fresh, ever new, always open to the creation of manifestation." So even just that, the whole concept that we're so attached to the known, and you see that when, I see that in my own life when I have the inclination to plan and to feel safe. A lot of times when we need to feel safe, we do something that is known, that we've already experienced, so that we know the result of it, the expectation of it. And when we begin to live our life so obsessed with being certain and so obsessed with being secure and never stepping into uncertainty, the reality of that is we're only repeating what we know, which is our past. So we're living in this cycle of our past. We can never move forward because we're caught in that loop. And that was so eye-opening to me. And it even helped me in small situations, like when, say, I knew I had to get up early the next morning. And at night, I was noticing that I was in my head being like, oh my gosh, whenever you get up at 5, you feel a little bit groggy, and it kind of ruins your day if you're up too early. And just almost stressing and preparing myself for something I've already experienced, which if I'm preparing myself for that, I'm going to live that out. It's going to manifest, and that is what I'm going to experience. Therefore, it's just this loop, instead of being like, no, tomorrow is a new day. And new means it's never, ever happened before. You've never experienced it before. So instead of approaching a new day with recycled thoughts, with recycled experiences, with projecting those into the new day, you can approach it being like, I've never experienced this moment. I've never experienced getting up at 5 a.m. tomorrow. Therefore, it's going to be full of wonder and excitement and things I've never experienced before. And that's the beauty of uncertainty. There's so much beauty in that because you've never entered into it before. So much can happen only if you enter into it like that. And so that was a huge takeaway I had from this book. I mean, one of many. And then the other law that I really connected with was the law of least effort. I actually took notes, a lot more notes about the law of least effort. So I wanted to read my notes in my notebook or my journal. And the main parts of the law of least effort, there are 3 components. Acceptance of the moment, so not causing any resistance to what is. Because when you experience life and something happens, whether it's something painful, joyful, whatever the emotion that comes with it is, if you choose not to accept it, all you're doing is adding resistance to that emotion that's already there. So if something painful happens and you're resisting it, denying it, you're adding on more pain to carry to that moment. So acceptance is one, responsibility is the next, which is really about not blaming anyone or anything for your situation but yourself. And what responsibility really does is it gives you so much freedom, because whether it's valid to blame someone or not, at the end of the day, you can really just reflect, and it's like, even if what they did was hurtful or painful to me, and that's valid, and you need to accept yourself in that moment for feeling those emotions, but then you can flip it back on you and say, hey, I'm going to take responsibility for how I'm feeling in this moment, because ultimately that's the only way I can alchemize these feelings and turn them into something that will help me to live a more peaceful, joyful life. And that's the power of taking responsibility. It's acknowledging when you're upset with someone that it's what your experience are your emotions, not theirs. Does that make sense? And so that's a huge one. And then the last part of the law of least effort was defenselessness, not needing to convince others of your point of view. Even when it comes to something you're learning that's maybe really beautiful and impactful, it's not your job to convince someone else to believe that same thing, because it's for you. And so even with this channel, I'm not trying to convince you. I'm just sharing pieces of my life and my journey and things that have impacted me. And if you connect with it, that's so rad. Then that's for you. And your spirit will tell you it will align with it or not. And that's the beautiful thing when you're in tune with your own spirit. You can decipher things so easily for yourself. And so that's really some of the key things that I took from that book. It's a beautiful book. Highly recommend it. The next book that I read that really impacted me, I loved it so much. I had so many emotional moments with this book. It came at the right timing for me. And that is Peace is Every Step by Thich Nhat Hanh. This book is really all about mindfulness and being present, and he teaches practical ways to become mindful in everyday scenarios. And what I love about this book is the chapters are really tiny, so it's almost like just divided into sections. So if you look here, this one's called 24 Brand New Hours, and it ends right there. So it's almost like just a little devotional in the morning to read, reflect on, journal out of. And it's really beautiful book about learning to sit and nourish in every moment and be mindful. And one of the things I really took from this book, he talks about mindfulness bells. And in his practice of religion, which is Buddhism, they have temples that at certain times in the day, the temple bell will ring, and that is a call to mindfulness for the monks to reflect in the moment, to almost to bring them back into the truth of the present moment rather than being caught up maybe in their thoughts or in doing something. It's this beautiful way to come back to the present moment and center yourself. And he really talks about applying that to daily things that we encounter. And so even something like a stoplight, a red light, or a stop sign, when you're driving in your car, it's easy to get overwhelmed or anxious because other drivers are around you, and it can be overwhelming. But something that is so beautiful, a way to approach it, is to use red lights as mindfulness bells. So to really get in your head, anytime you come to a red light and you stop, it's that oh my gosh, that scared me.
Sorry, babe.
Oh my gosh, I thought you were a crazy animal coming to get me.
Oh my gosh,
You just want
her. So sorry.
I can't wait to watch that back. It's embarrassing.
Sorry, everyone.
I got that scared. Okay, say bye. Bye. I literally thought I was getting attacked by one of those hogs your dad always does.
Do not. I have a fear of that now. Come on, Biscuit.
Bye, baby.
Bye, come on, baby.
He wants to cuddle with me. Okay, where was I? Oh, that's really funny. Okay, so back to what I was saying. The premise of mindfulness bells is really to create things that will help you, things in your daily life that'll help you get back to the present moment, not get so caught up in thoughts of the past or worrying about the future, stressing about the future. So that could be something as simple as when the kitchen timer goes off when you're cooking, or something as simple as when you brush your teeth, you really get ingrained in your head, this is a mindfulness bell for me to get back into this present moment. Take a deep breath. He talks a lot about conscious breathing and how that can really ground you back into the moment in your body. And even just the simple thing of smiling, how smiling can really impact your day, how it can touch the heart of another person. That's something that I've always made the decision to do, is when I'm in public, to really smile at people, make eye contact in public places. There's so much stuff to drag us down in the world that I think by offering a smile to someone, that's a generous act of kindness. In this book, it's just beautiful like that. Like, there were so many moments that it just touched my heart. I connect with it so deeply. So that one is an amazing one. This book, 3 Magic Words by U.S. Anderson, he also, there's a version on YouTube where you can get the audio. So sometimes I listen to the audio of it, but he really just talks a lot about the power of being in tune with your spirit and just not getting caught up in your mind and others, and really unlocking your intuition. And he talks about what faith really is, and health and success on a really deep level. Okay, let me read this part of the book. It's called Competition versus Creativeness. I think this is really impactful. It says, the essence of mankind is not competition. It is creativeness. In all this world, there is not another you, nor has there ever been another you. Is it not ridiculous to attempt to mold yourself into the likeness of your fellows, and to attempt to undo the work that God has done for you as an especial part of the universal intelligence are manifested here on this earth in the form you now occupy, to do the work that is only what you can do? Competition attempts to be like, while creativeness attempts to be unlike. Competition casts all humanity into the same mold, and creativeness makes each man an individual counterpart of God. Okay? It's deep. It's beautiful and deep, and I love it. Okay, the last book that I'm going to share, there's so many more books. If you want more videos like this, and for me to even talk about more books that I've read in the past that have really been big parts of my enlightenment and consciousness and really coming into the truth of all that I am. I would love to share more of those. I love talking about the books that I read. But another book that I have read this year that was just a stunning book was a memoir by Dr. Edith Eger, and it's called The Choice. She is a Holocaust survivor, and this is her story. But it is not just her memoir of that experience. It's her memoir of becoming healed from that experience and making the choice to not take on a victim life and not fall deep into what could cause so much depression and hate, and it in a extremely valid way. But she really talks about within your own life, just whether it is valid or not, and whether society sees it as valid or not, which, I think when you look at someone who's been through the trauma that a woman like her has been through, and that so many people have walked through within their own life, you want to give them so much validity towards their experience and how they are now. It's like, yes, you were a victim of a heinous crime, and you have every right to be in the depths of despair and depression. But she really just goes into her story of making the choice for herself and the decision that, hey, this is my life, my one and only life, and I don't want to give those people the power over my happiness and my joy and my freedom. And so the concept of this book is really just about the imprisonment we hold over ourselves within our own mind. And when you read a story like hers, I mean, it's overwhelming what she has walked through, and then the choice she has made to heal and overcome that within her own life. Like, she is so beautiful and strong, and it just really makes someone like me reflect in my own life, where I could easily take the choice to become a victim of something, or I can overcome that and say, no, I want freedom in my life. This is my life and this is my choice. I don't have to live in the depths of despair and sadness. I can overcome this. And so her story is so beautiful. I even recommend looking up a podcast of hers. Before I got this book, I had actually listened to her on Super Soul Sunday. No, she was on Super Soul Sunday, but I had listened to her on Brene Brown's podcast. She was on it, and even when you see her and hear her voice, like, you just melt. Like, she is just an angel on earth. She is so sweet. But this book was so impactful. She went on later in her life to become a therapist, and she talks a lot about her work with clients and even what it took for her to overcome so many mental struggles from what she had been through. Highly recommend this book. Incredibly, incredibly impactful. And then I thought I would just share the book I'm currently reading, because I just never stop. I've always got a book waiting for me. I've got books on the way. I put in an order. I think I ordered 6 new books from, I'll put the links up here, but they're 2 online used bookstores, like thrifting books. And I ordered 6. I mean, the amazing thing about ordering used books is, number 1, it's more environmentally friendly, but number 2, you're getting it at such a discounted price. I bought 6 new books that are on their way in the mail, and total I paid was $25, so it's pretty good. So this last book that I'm currently reading, I'm on, I think, chapter 3 or something like that, is called The Way of Integrity by Martha Beck. Wow, this book is so beautiful, and it's all about finding the path to your true self and how life can really get us lost and feeling confused, and can really pull us away from who we truly are, because we get so caught up in the societal norm and the cultural norms based on the cultures that we grow up in. And she talks a lot about culture and how we grow up in many different cultures within our life. So there's family culture, friendship culture, church culture, school culture, political culture, society culture, wherever you live. You know, there's so many different forms of culture, and that's culture basically represents a set of rules within a group of people that we all abide by. And sometimes we can just get so lost within the culture we're in, and it can pull us away from who we truly are because we continue to go the way of the culture without really asking ourselves and taking moments in our lives to reflect, is this truly what I want? Is this truly who I am? Do I connect with this on a deep level with who I am? And without reflecting, without taking the time to really become aware of the direction you're walking, it can pull us so far from our true selves. And a way to recognize if you're not in alignment with your truest self and your truest expression of life is if you're just feeling confused and lost and hazy and overwhelmed. And so this is a really beautiful book. She really shares her story of finding her way back to herself. And I really became in touch with her through Jay Shetty's podcast. Podcasts are a great way to really get to know an author, and then you can decide, hey, I would love to learn more from their perspective. And so if you want to even go search Martha Beck with Jay Shetty to listen to that, highly recommend doing that. I can see Ryan and Biscuit jumping in the water. It's so cute. So thank you for joining me in today's video. It's a beautiful day here. I'm gonna go enjoy the rest of my day, go see what Ryan and Biscuit are doing at the dock, and I will see you in my next one.